Well, welcome back, everybody. How is everybody doing?
We're doing good.
So, this is our last and final session together, and today I'm going to narrate our timeline together and show how far you have come as a family. Please feel free to interrupt if you want to clarify anything or change anything. So, in this kind of counseling, we identify relational blocks found in dyadic relationships in the family as a whole. We also look at how the family interacts with each other and at the beginning of this therapy. More specifically, we look at negative interactional patterns and cycles, and in the beginning, we identified some relational blocks and we walked through them. Am I confusing anybody?
No, we understand. Same here.
So, in our first session, we addressed Tina's suicide attempt, but it acted as a gateway to talk about things that we buried down in our thoughts. So, I'm just going to go over this. Tina was sexually molested by an extended family member when she was 8, and instead of her father taking her side, he stood his ground with his family. And from this, Tina became very distant from her father and would not talk to him. So, she relied on her mother, making Deb the mediator and translator between her daughter and husband. Does that sound correct?
Yeah, it does.
So now, from here on out, I will talk about what happened in the family sessions where I had Tina and Mike lay out their problems and how they resolved it. And I will do the same with how it went down with Tina and Deb. So, Tina and Mike had a very distant relationship. Due to his trauma, it blinded him from seeing Tina when she needed reassurance and safety from her parents. Tina felt that her father not being there for her made it impossible for her to have a relationship with him. So, after hearing about her father's abuse, she understood why he acted that way. And Mike also said that he would attempt to fix the problems in the family by sacrificing his own needs, but when that backfires, he withdraws from the family. When it comes to being there for Tina, Tina does not see that because she feels this type of situation is repetitive, where Mike says he is there for her, but she feels that she's being criticized for handling things on her own, and no matter how much she tries to do things on her own and succeed in the end, she still felt that it was never enough for her father. All Tina wanted for Mike was to be supportive of her in her best moments and in her worst, and that is what we concluded within the discussion. Do we all agree on this, and does anybody want to add anything else?
You put it together perfectly.
Okay, that is good to hear. Now we will move on to Tina and Deb. So Deb believed in Tina when the incident took place, but after that she found herself in this fixed and physical position between her husband and daughter. So here, Deb was the mediator and translator between Mike and Tina, but Deb found this understandably exhausting and difficult. Even though Deb's worries are valid, it evolved into something where Deb is constantly looking after Tina and being overprotective of her daughter. So moving forward, this took a toll on Tina because she felt that her mother was being blinded by the image of 8-year-old and 12-year-old Tina, who is scared and vulnerable and needs her mother. So this shouldn't have happened if the mother only looked at her present. So she should have marveled at how strong her daughter became because Tina can handle anything no matter how tough or easy it is. And Tina herself expressed that she is doing well in life and can handle things on her own. While Tina is independent and strong, she feels that she is a failure in her mother's eyes, and Tina tried to get her mother on the same wavelength as she is, but Deb did not listen in the past. So Deb feels like this because when she sees her daughter having a lot on her plate and being weighed down by it, she feels her worries coming up and taking control of her, which leads her to take control of Tina and help her out. But there is a valid reason behind Deb's actions. Growing up, Deb never had anyone look out for her, and she had never received the attention from her parents the way she pays attention to her children, even when they left home at a young age. Nobody came to look for her. Therefore, she felt the need to give something to her daughter, something that she never got growing up. And after this revelation, Tina, you were able to understand why your mother was hovering over you, and she wanted to make you feel wanted and loved, but it came across as you feeling inadequate and not listened to. Overall, the relational blocks addressed between both dyadic relationships, such as Tina and Mike and Deb and Tina, were addressed, and we dove deep into these blocks to find their root causes. And once we did, we were able to untangle these blocks, clear up some misunderstandings, while we ensured both parties understood each other's viewpoints. So, Deb, tell me how you feel after our last session.
I feel better, like a weight is lifted off my shoulders.
Okay, and why do you feel that way?
Well, I always felt the need to hover over Tina because I used to see her as someone who needed my constant care and attention. But after explaining to Tina why I acted the way I did, I felt that Tina finally understood me. She communicated to me about how my affections affected her. So from that moment on, I stopped hovering around her and let Tina do her own thing. I decided to just pay attention on to my own needs, the needs that I neglected for so long.
I am really glad to hear you say that. You started looking after yourself now that you don't need to constantly look after Tina, is that correct?
Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more.
So that is wonderful news, Deb.
Thank you.
So now moving on to Mike, how are you feeling?
I'm doing better now than I did in our first session.
Really? Could you elaborate on that a little more?
Yeah, well, Tina and I had a relationship that had no verbal communication. Now that she knows about my past and I know how she feels when I say condescending things, I'm better able to understand myself. I think after our second or third session, Tina and I began talking to each other. I'm able to talk to Tina directly without needing my wife, and Tina comes to me when she needs something.
Wow, so that is a huge improvement for your relationship. Don't you agree, Tina?
I really do. It's great to talk to Dad like this.
Well, that's amazing to hear. So what is going on with you, Tina?
Well, it is nice to have Mom and Dad treat me for who I am now. I can talk to them freely without dreading it, like I used to before. Uh, just as Dad mentioned, our relationship is progressively getting better. I can go talk to him about anything, and if I have any concerns, he would help me out as much as he can, which I really appreciate. Um, as for Mom, she's giving me the space that I need. She doesn't constantly check on me, but she is doing, I would say, on a reasonable rate.
So would you all agree that the way you all interact is healthy, but going at a sort of steady pace?
Yeah, I do agree with that. I feel like we are addressing our own problems and fixing them in a new way. I feel like we approach it calmly, talk it out, and really, really, really express how we feel about certain things or our current situation. I agree with Tina. One of the things I'm focusing on is my relationship with Mike. We are working on it slowly but together. She is right. I try my best to pull in my weight, and she really appreciates that. I appreciate her for taking the time to work on us.
So based on what I'm hearing, can you give me an example of how you addressed a problem or an issue in your home?
Yeah, I got one. So I recently expressed to my parents that I am having anxiety regarding school. I told them that my schoolwork is getting tougher and I feel like I cannot control it.
And what do you mean by not being able to control it?
Before I was able to get my assignments and homework done, even if I am or am not under stress or pressure. But I guess with the time that I spent on family therapy, not that I'm blaming it on therapy nor am I not grateful for it, I think I lost track of time and let my productivity slip up for a bit there.
Oh, okay. So you're worried that your homework and assignments are just piling up and you can't seem to find the end of it, right?
Exactly. Like I really don't see the end of this building workload.
So how did mom and dad help you with this?
I was actually surprised at how they handled it. They kept their cool about it. When I told them what I was going through, they didn't push me away, they didn't deflect, they didn't dismiss my fear or my anxiety. They didn't even jump to solving the problem right away. In fact, they sat me down and asked me how they could help me.
How did you feel about the way they approached your anxiety about schoolwork?
Honestly, I felt relieved. I felt relieved that I was able to talk to them about my growing anxiety and growing homework. They gave me a few solutions, which I took into consideration.
Can you share some of the solutions?
Yeah, first, they asked if I needed a tutor for my homework. They told me to think about it and see if I needed it. In the end, I communicated with them that I needed a tutor because I know that I needed to understand the material with the extra help. And in regards to my assignments, they brought up the idea about speaking with my school counselor or my professors and asking for extensions. I told my parents that there is no way that I was going to finish on time because my assignments have to follow the material and should communicate clearly. So I told them that I will talk to my school counselor and my professors if I need a note from my parents to show that I do need extensions.
Wow, mom and dad, you really handled things in a cool manner, and that is what we need when helping our children with their problems. We need to understand the problem first, comb through it, and look for viable solutions that benefit our children. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Yeah, well, just a few months ago, my mother fell sick and was hospitalized. I was really worried about my mother, even though we're not that close. I was thinking of how I should fly there and help my mom, but a lot of problems sprang up while I was making my plans. But my daughter came home from college and she consoled me. She told me that I should be there for my mom, just like how I am with her right now. She said to not worry and that she will look after things here. I guess that's her strongest suit. Not because it's not only is she self-reliant, but she's strong for both of us in this situation. After that, Mike strongly encouraged me to go be with my mom, and he said he will look after the kids. He said that if I needed anything, he will fly out to me or just do the best he can from home. So after leaving the kids and Mike at home, I was able to help my mother in the hospital and just be there for her. When I called my family, I was surprised at how things are going on at home. Mike was often cooking for the kids, and Tina would be helping out Mike with errands. Our son Josh came out of the basement and helped Tina with the errands, and Mike with some of the office work. I tell you, they really helped me out here. I left feeling anxious, but knowing that my family was able to help each other out is the best feeling ever.
With all of you coming to your mom's aid is really important, and it shows how you've all grown out of those negative feelings and focused on each other and how to help one another feel better in their tough predicaments. Um, Judging from the problems you have shared and how everyone has pitched in to solve it, shows that this family has come a very long way, and that really is good. You realize that you want to help your mom, your dad, your brother, or sister as much as you can without sounding pushy or overbearing. You just want to make the other person feel better, is that right?
Definitely, that's all we wanted to do.
Now, going forward, considering this is our last session, I'm just going to remind you of a couple things. It's basically your own toolkit so that you can use it when you have problems in the future. So, Tina, we know that you are very self-reliant. It has become your own thing where you can do things on your own, and that is good because not everyone has that ability. But more often than not, they need help here and there. However, when things get too rough, just know that no one is expecting you to do it by yourself. And it is not wrong to ask for help when things are out of your control. When you can't handle all of your schoolwork because it kept piling up, you reached out to your parents and because you needed help. And that should tell you you can always count on your parents to help you out whenever you need them to with whatever problem it is.
You're right. After understanding mom and dad's story and solving our own issues, it made me feel more free to express myself and explore my options in life. I guess that's what happens when you have trained yourself to be self reliant. Now I know that I can set my own limits and use them if I need to.
Okay, that's really good, Tina. Deb, it does look like you have a lot of time on your hands, and that is a good thing. Like you mentioned before, you decided to focus on yourself, and I'm going to tell you that focusing on yourself and listening to what you need is very important. And you know that Tina is mature enough to handle things in life, and it's time for you to take a back seat. When she needs you, she will come to you, and in this day and age, children need their time to figure things out on their own as they grow older. And yes, Tina needs her space, but it shouldn't mean that you are not available for her because you're focusing on yourself. You are her mother and she is your daughter, and you have a very special relationship where you both are on the same wavelength, and that should stick together.
I hear you. I was confused on how much I should be there for myself because I cannot part from my first child for too long. All I wanted to do was give her the space she deserves and be there when she needs me.
Sounds like you know what to do from here on out, Deb. Now, Mike, you really have come a long way from the person who fixes things to being the better father and a husband to your wife. And what I need you to do is keep doing that. You and Tina are renewing a father daughter relationship at a steady and normal pace, and you and Tina really need that. You need it because you want to be able to communicate and bond with your children in that manner. And because you need them to know that since they are your everything, you will do everything for your children. So, what I'm saying is that you should bond with your children more and more as time goes on. That doesn't mean you can't spend time for yourself. Parents often need to take care of themselves before they can be the best version of themselves to take care of their children. Do you understand?
That sounds right. Whatever I have with Tina and Josh, I'm grateful for that, but I want to grow my relationship with my kids. Like you said, they're all I have.
Yes, that is true. Now you have revealed a piece of yourself from the past, the abuse, the trauma that scarred you, and the inability to be the father your children needed. However, we were just able to talk just a little bit about it. And if you want to be the best version of yourself and be there for your family, you need to heal yourself.
So, does that mean I should go to therapy?
Exactly, but I'm not saying that that is required. This is a suggestion that you may want to consider if you're interested, and if you are, I can recommend you a few helpful counselors before we end our last session.
Yeah, I am interested. I'm ready to heal myself. I don't want it to affect me anymore. Not after how I reacted to Tina when she was a small little girl. I really want to be better for the kids and for Deb.
That's a great idea. I'm glad that you have decided to do what's best for you, Mike. Now, we have reached the end of our time together, and I strongly urge that you use the toolkit that you picked up during the sessions to help you solve any conflicts that you encounter as a family. And the more that you use it, you understand each other better, and you're able to be there for one another so that no one is left behind. And is there anything else I can help you with?
That is all, Renee. You helped us out tremendously. Thank you, Renee, for having us.
There's no need to thank me. You should thank yourself and your family for taking this step to go to therapy. And I know that it's not easy to come here and share things about yourself. It takes a lot of courage to come here and reveal a part of yourself to your family, that you shouldn't be ashamed of that version of yourself. And who else is going to accept you for who you are other than your family? They know the real you, and that is all that matters.